Welcome to another edition of Fortinet Live. Today we're talking about shopping, safe shopping experiences during the holiday season, which we're in now. Really talking about securing commerce, securing the customer experience. So I'm Courtney Radke, and I'm joined by my guest Derek Manky, who's going to talk to us a little bit more in depth about what we're seeing, trends, how attackers are being successful, what we and consumers can do to protect ourselves during this time where attacks are on the rise. So welcome, Derek. Thanks for joining.
Hey, it's always good to talk to you, Court. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So holiday shopping season. I know that I'm definitely not done. I've got a lot of shopping left to do. I'm going to be frantically looking for deals. I, like many others out there, may see things that look too good to be true, and I might click on them, right? And that's just the nature of the game right now. So, maybe let's just kind of talk about why every year, and it's happening sooner and sooner with the deals starting sometimes in August and September now. Why every year is this kind of the biggest time of the year for cyber threat actors?
Yeah, so they have a heyday with this, right? With any opportunity for monetization. I mean, they're not dumb, right? They've been doing this for years. They've been building their playbooks. We've talked about that before. For years, moving to a more bold nature. So as an example, we're seeing not just typical phishing attacks, but spear phishing attacks that are quite clever nowadays, tied to holiday shopping themes. We see smishing, which is a form of SMS phishing, right? That didn't really exist, let's say, 5-6 years ago, right? It started becoming popular, but now we have vishing becoming more popular. That's more bold because now you have a voice. The threat actors are actually getting on the phone and directly talking to their victims, right? So they're not afraid, and that's what's really. I think they're actually confident because of all the profit that they've been making, quite frankly. And once they're fed, they will keep coming back for more, right? And that's what we're seeing. That's what I mean about the heyday. This is the season, right, where people are opening up their wallets, some crypto wallets, right, to make transactions and purchases. And that, if I think of the holiday shopping season, it's attack surface, right? It just lights up across the board because, as I mentioned, it's not just email, but also your mobile phone. While you're physically in shopping stores as well, it's literally almost every corner that you turn around.
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on the physical and digital and how that's causing more concerns here in just a minute. But you touched on it. The statistics, we keep breaking records of more ransomware paid out every single year. Not a record we want to have. And you touched on, this is the time when consumers open up their wallets, crypto wallets or otherwise, but this is also the time when it's make or break for some retailers that are out there. That they make more money in these weeks and months now leading up to the holiday season than sometimes the entire year. So, they want to assume that they're getting more customers shopping with them than ever before. They want to, spread things out there, get more avenues, more touch points, for these customers to shop with them. And I think oftentimes, just as we as people, consumers, make emotional responses to some of those things, sometimes these get overlooked by retailers that are out there. I've seen, a lot of times, botnets, things like botnets becoming really prevalent at this time of year. You want to assume that, wow, did I really just get more people signing up for my loyalty app than I've had in the last 5 years combined? And they don't go back and look, as those actual people. So I think everybody is just, emotions are on high during this time of year, and things do get overlooked, especially as you just touched on it. The attack surface is just, expanded.
And I think it's interesting what you're talking about. There's always well, there's more than two, but simply two angles to look at this, right? In terms of who's vulnerable. Certainly the consumer and the end user, but certainly the retailers as well. And we see that every year, right? Everything from brand and reputation damaging, from sites that are commonly ripped off. Like, again, when it comes to these phishing kits that attackers are setting up, they're not in HTML1 and old school phishing kits. These are all modern, up to date, right on brand, right? They'll do typo squatting, register new domains, use botnets, like you said, like fast botnets is one technology so that they won't be taken down too easily. And that's a real threat to retailers. And then you mentioned the R word as well too, the household name that we all know as ransomware. That's those are becoming much more frequent. The monetary demands are becoming 7-figure payments, right? To these retailers, especially at this time of year where they can't afford any downtime, like you said, because it's make or break. So it's really a volatile storm.
Yeah, and so we've kind of, you focus on the e-commerce side or the web side of it, but really, digital is making its way into physical more than ever before, because customers want ease. Consumers want frictionless experiences. They want more personalized experiences. They may not want to ask how they're actually getting that much personalized experiences, but they know that it's data. There's more data out there than ever before, and it's coming into the physical space. We see, kiosks, sensors, IoT, all of this stuff. And I think that is why retailers now more than ever before, because they've created these amazing digital touch points that consumers are used to them. They love to use their phone to interact with the business. That's made their way into physical. So now we have both cyber threats in store, and we have them online and above store. So maybe what are you seeing around that of the physical creating such issues now in the cyber landscape?
Yeah, we often don't talk about physical enough, and you're right. It's becoming more and more increasingly blurred, especially as we move into the future. And that was in our predictions with augmented reality, VR. That's going to be a whole next level retailer discussion. We're not there yet, but it'll be interesting maybe the next time we talk. But in the physical world, of course, you have the old school threats that are still absolutely valid. So threats going after point of sale terminals, we see that is still a very highly detected threat that we see from FortiGuard Labs. There's a lot of malware that can actually run on the point of sale terminal that will actually, it doesn't matter if you're up to compliance and you have data encrypted in transit, it's still sitting at the endpoint and it's able to decrypt. And there's a lot of harvesting going on for credit card information because there's a lot of taps and a lot of swipes going on. So skimmers, but also malware on POS terminals, those are real threats in the physical world. But an interesting new one that's come up is the QR code as well. I mean, we see these everywhere now. Every restaurant you go to, even, it's like scan the digital menu, right? It's literally, I mean, even my non-technical friends are able to use that every day. And
it's a camera, right? Just scan it with your camera. And you're right, every restaurant, lots of organizations have them. And how much easier is it to print out a QR code and slap that over the top of something legitimate, or just put your own out there versus, what we saw in credit card skimmers, that they got very sophisticated, but it's still physically, you have to be there, they put it on. A QR code seems a lot easier to pull off.
Yeah, and it's also included on a lot of product labels as well now too, right? And that's a big threat if you think about it, because if anyone's browsing physically in a store, a big box store, and they go pick up an appliance, quick scan, it can easily go to one of those scam sites, right? So this is it's a very interesting attack vector, but absolutely physical world based, and something I expect to see more of. But again, this is just that. It's not a shift. It's this expanding attack surface that's including the physical world as well.
Yeah, it's yet one more thing that they have to worry about. They couldn't keep up with what was already happening. Now they got all this stuff that they're bombarded with. And we're talking about protecting customers. We're talking about businesses protecting their business. But if you really think about it, we've talked about this. Crime, organized crime, it is a business now. This organized cybercrime, it's now a business. Maybe talk a little bit about how that landscape has kind of changed a little bit as well.
Yeah, that's dramatically changed. I've been following that for the cyber criminal ecosystem for about 20 years, and it continues to expand. It's a portfolio, right? So absolutely organized crime to the bone, right? I mean, they have the malicious CEOs, they have business units running now affiliates as well that will go up and infect systems or do phishing on behalf of the organization, get paid out commission for that. Same thing with ransom. So there's the as a service model for almost anything you can think of now, from ransom as a service to phishing as a service to DDoS as a service. All of that, and new ones coming up now too, like even money laundering, right? That was in our prediction. So it's really this portfolio. Again, any way that they can try to monetize and mirror inverses of the legitimate business world, they're doing in illegitimate ways. And this is what's allowing them to get more creative, because they have more players as well, right? They have more affiliates, more people working for them. each has their own idea as to how they're going to be, launching a phishing attack, or maybe printing up that malicious product code, that QR code we're talking about, and slapping it in their local store to make a quick buck.
Yeah,
So,
they're joining forces.
yeah.
They're strength in numbers. They're as you said, they're recruiting. We talk about a cyber skills gap and trying to prevent them from attacking us with all these new. Same thing. I mean, their pool that they're pulling from, all of those organizations try to pull from the same pool, so they're joining forces. That's very interesting to see.
And the other thing is that they are they're not afraid, like I said. So the recruitment in particular is something that everybody has to watch out for, because they're very aggressive when it comes to trying to recruit talent, right?
It's talent,
money mules, right? Effectively, because typical retail scams that we see are cash payouts. Like, money has to move somehow, right? So how do they do that? Crypto, of course. So when we start talking about how you can protect yourself, of course, always be careful when you're doing a crypto transaction. Know who you're buying from, all of that. But gift cards as well. This is classic. Gift card scams have been around a long time, but that is an easy payout, because it's a way to move money into physical cards, especially through that organized crime network, when you have more of those mules moving that, especially with more signing up. So that's why they're doing more recruiting, because they've made a lot of money. They're seasoned recruiters. They know how to do that, and they're not afraid. And also, at this time of year, people are more vulnerable as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's tough times with the economy, and people, they see that quick, hey, make X amount of dollars working from home.
They'll jump at it. So it's the time of the season, time of the year for cheer. We had some doom and gloom talk right here. It's not all bad. I mean, there's strategies that we can use. So I often talk about, really, people, they get a bad rap because it's the vector. People are always called the weakest link. I feel like education, training, awareness, you can make them into one of your strongest links, one of your lines of defense. I mean, I think that's absolutely critical. But as we kind of round this out, what are some how do we help? How do we have some strategies to protect against this growing threat landscape, the amount of resources and money that they have to throw at attacking us? What do we do to protect ourselves?
Yeah, so I'm going to double down on what you just said. I think that the education, the cyber hygiene, is absolutely the most effective way. It's not the silver bullet, nothing is, but there's so many ways to break this down and talk about it, but just saying, hey, just pause for 1 second, think and ask, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing a transaction, right? Who am I buying this from? What is that domain I'm about to click on? Looking at the actual payment transaction, or the history of a seller, if you're on an e-commerce marketplace, all that stuff, just a quick check. I mean, it's not rocket science. It doesn't take hours to do. We're talking probably 20 seconds. Just like with COVID-19, we talked about that 20-second washing your hands. And cyber hygiene is the same thing. So that, really important. But then when it comes to, I know we talk about this all the time, but let's cover it. Strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, right? Those are I would say obligatory nowadays. And then like I said, be aware of those clicks when you're clicking on it. Unsolicited messages, they come in different forms. It used to be phishing, or it's not used to be, it still is, but now we also have the smishing, the vishing calls. Again, this is tied to holiday shopping themes, right? Bank accounts being frozen, banks calling saying, hey, your account's been frozen. We'll give you access. Just want to verify your information. Again, your bank or nobody should ever be calling you, asking you for information, and you should give that to them, right?
Right. So, it's the basics. I mean, if we just do some of the basics right and train our people, we'll be a lot further ahead. I'm doing this with my 7-year-old today. He's wanted to download things for certain games. I say, look, if that one's got 1 star, right? Nobody's reviewed it. Maybe look out a little bit on it. So even they're being more aware.
That's great, and and it's just that one. It's retraining our brain, really, right? It's that 1 second pause and think and ask them. It's just like we've talked about this before. It's just like we're programmed like that, essentially, to do that in the physical with physical threats, right? But not so much with the cyber, and it really is just a recourse for that to retrain.
Right. I mean, it's not like drinking a coffee and it says caution hot, or it's a red pan. It's really we really have to retrain ourselves to say, is it too good to be true? Take a step back, understand, and then just do some of your little due diligence. Obviously, you could talk about the technologies to move quicker, all of the, the products and stuff, but I think it's better to frame it higher level of, let's just think about it. Let's just educate ourselves on what's important. Yeah.
And another tip is to monitor your accounts always, especially this time of year, because account takeovers, whether it's through phishing or credential stuffing or whatever, attackers are trying this all the time. And if they do get into your account, especially on an e-commerce platform or something, they're going to be trying to buy gift cards or product to ship out, all that stuff. So you absolutely want to monitor that as well too.
All good stuff. I think we have a lot of this covered on our website, blog.fortinet.com as well. I know that we've written a bunch of blogs. I've written some. We have a lot of content that's out there. There's a wealth of knowledge for people to use. So, thank you for sharing your insight. I think it's critically important for us to educate ourselves during the season, stay safe during the this time of year. Hopefully maybe next year we talk about, let's just have a session around the holiday season of the successes that we've seen, of the good stuff that's come out of technology trying to stop these cyber threat actors. But for now, we've got to be digitally aware. So I appreciate it, Derek. Thank you for joining me for the Fortinet Live chat today.
Okay. Thanks, Courtney. Stay safe.